Ji, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Usman Barkaji. Thank you for a very thorough introduction. I've come from retail background. All my career, I've started very early, back in 2001, started working for a company in England. And while I was studying there as well in retail. So my retail key orientation has been throughout my career, and courtesy of working with some retail brands as a C-level practitioner, and also working with Confiz in the past. Again, that was the connect with retail, and now I'm working for a company called Algo, which is a North American based, Michigan Troy based organization, जो कि supply chain optimization के अंदर significant काम कर रही है across the globe. And I want to build on what the previous gentleman has said, the connect of international market, international clients and local clients, and how Algo is establishing as an anchor position within the company. And for that, I want to give you a quick background into what Algo is and how we are positioned to deliver significant change in this market. Just to understand, and this is to give you a clarity into what Algo is. जब हम बात करते हैं connect between local industry and data science practitioners, there has to be a bridge where you have to have a lot of functional expertise in your organization. That translation that goes from the data science to functional aspects of the business, so that they understand कि बात क्या हो रही है और कैसे benefit कर सकते हैं हम data science से. The picture that you see, we at Algo are about 160 people, out of which about 90 are based out of Pakistan. And when I joined a year and a half ago at Algo, there were a lot of centers which were in Pune or in Ukraine that I consolidated back to Pakistan. And a lot of people that you see here on this slide are primarily functional experts. They don't have any data science or engineering background. They purely come from supply chain background. They purely come from merchandising background. And why is it important? Like, I have come from a merchandising background, retail background. I have zero technical computer science knowledge, but primarily the core focus, the reason they have me as their chief innovation officer in a company like Algo, which is fourth fastest growing company in North America in private sector, for the last 2 years continuously, is because that translation has to happen. And I'll explain in the next slides कि किस तरीके से important है connect build करना into the need of industry, and then translating it back to your technical layers so that they can develop accordingly. And nobody takes that investment of time and effort that कि वो development को expedite किया जा सके. Hence, it is very important that we have to have a layer of functional expertise within our organizations so that they can actually help this growth and innovation. So a quick journey into who we are. Primarily, we are a planning solution. We are a supply chain optimization solution. What it does is that it plan, collaborate, simulate, and execute supply chains. So when it comes to planning, we do a lot of demand planning, supply planning, inventory planning, replenishment planning, all sorts of planning. And planning in silos is nothing. You can plan unless you are able to collaborate it with your peers, unless you are able to collaborate it with your CFO, collaborate it with the organization within your organization. The plan in silo will be an entirely waste of time. So we have that capability of planning within our system. Then we have this capability of integrating it with the core systems, like our system is integrated with Teams, Zoom, wherever we collaborate. And based on that, we allow the users to have the capability to simulate as well. So what if then scenarios, and I'll share more in detail in terms of how it will happen, and then, ability to execute it as well. So we are primarily a shop which does SNOP, which is sales and operation planning, and then SNOE as well, which is sales and operation execution. A quick look into the portfolio that we work with. You see a lot of big box retailers. We work with 10 of the Fortune 20 globally. So 10 of the Fortune 20 globally are our client base. So few of my clients are like Microsoft, Meta, and we run their supply chains. We manage their supply chains, the hardware side of the business, where they physically have to plan, manufacture, ship, allocate, and do merchandise planning on the big box retailers. So we do all that for these big box retailers. And then if you look at the local side of the business, a lot of leading local retail brands are our customer as well. And the reason this is important, because then this becomes a very healthy farming ground for us to acquire use cases. So we acquire a lot of use cases from local industry, internalize them in our system, and then we go global. We have robust systems, robust data layers to actually conquer the global requirements of all our clients. So quickly jumping into what machine learning is, what artificial intelligence is, and how we can leverage artificial intelligence and machine learning to make sure that we gain the exponential growth status in our business. So if I build an analogy of an atom here, and everything that comes in between are the orbits, and the deep learning being the nucleus of this atom. You see these orbits of artificial intelligence and machine learning there. So, and building on this analogy, if I can, mention what are the electrons of artificial intelligence, they are like machine learning itself, natural language processing, natural language query, those kind of attributes. Primarily what artificial intelligence is trying to can contribute to the overall equation is the ability to mimic human behavior, ability to give the context to the answers that we provide back to the user. And then machine learning as an orbit, when you think of it, there are three core pillars of machine learning. Prediction being one. Machine learning, by using machine learning, we can provide high fidelity, high accuracy forecasts to our clients. Regression, we can do a lot of customer segmentation and clustering using that. Clustering itself is a major pillar of machine learning. So going forward, I'll explain how we use these core pillars as a major building blocks to the services that we have crafted and are providing to our customers. So how is AI enabling all this? So primarily, if I think of it, we have AI supporting systems such as relevant recommendation engine. People who have bought this also like this kind of, the collaborative filtering that you see on your Amazon and Daraz whenever you buy online. We have customer engagement models built through AI. For example, there are a lot of customer segmentation models that are built using regression, log linear regression and multivariate regression, where a lot of customer loyalty programs are built using this methodology. So I'm not going to go in detail of all of those, but the core focus in Pakistan, if I think of the core pillars that I've used in working with all these brands that you've seen in the last slide, are primarily store clustering. We have done a lot of work in Pakistan using store clusters to localize assortment for a lot of leading brands. So for example, if you walk into a Khadi store or a Sapphire store, the assortment from one store to another changes, and there is a science behind that as well. So all of them are using store clustering models deployed by companies like Confiz to use assortment planning and product placement to ensure product placement. So primarily, if I quickly skip through this, the core machine learning attributes when you can think of are the ability to make sure that data is in solid form, data preparation capabilities are there. We have our basic algorithm as an advanced algorithm ready for computation. And when we talk about scalable machine learning and ensemble modeling, so scalable machine learning is primarily a state where you have statistical models, your data refinery, or data mining capabilities alongside machine learning ready for you to use. For example, whenever we ingest data from a lot of customer, data is in not the right state. For example, we have to do a lot of cleansing. We have to augment it a lot of data. There is a lot of data gaps. So what we have done in our systems that we have actually, there is a big refinery that we have built between our machine learning capabilities and between the customer data, where we take in that information, for example, we normalize it, we depromify it, we deseasonalize it, so that whatever noise is there in the data that is taken away from it, and then we do a better, robust forecasting on top of it. So it's very important that we understand कि customer की current state कहाँ पे है in terms of data maturity, and then have those functional layers within your organization so that they can translate that, they can understand those anomalies and building on those anomalies, help customer to make sure that they have a robust data layer in place for future use. So Algo primarily, कौन से 5 core areas हैं जिनके अंदर काम कर रहा है. So what we are trying to achieve here is we are giving the customer capability so that it doesn't look alien to them when they are dealing with the system. So there is a natural language query capability in the system. So customer can ask question in the system. So it is making it more friendly for customer to use these systems. So natural language processing and natural language query being one of the core pillars that we are using in our AI के जो major हमारे platforms हैं. We using machine learning, like I've explained, customer segmentation, clustering. We are using regression. We are using prediction models in our retail models. Also optimization. So there's a lot of solver-like capability in the system that is allowing the users to run a lot of lifelike simulations within the system so that you can actually interact with the system, and without being, actually coding the information back into the system, you are able to generate results. So there is a lot of what if then scenarios being computed on a lifelike model, in Algo. So quickly jumping into few of the core use cases that I've talked about. One being, we are enabling a lot of customers who want to, let's say, expand in the business. How can machine learning help in companies, in brands who want to expand, who want to open up new stores? So we are doing a lot of shade analysis, a lot of clustering, making sure that they have the best retail location in the business. We are doing a lot of customer segmentation, like I've explained. A lot of localization is happening in terms of product placement on relevant store cluster. So clustering, is primarily a core of our services where we are allowing users to segment their stores in a homogeneous manner, where they have homogeneous group of stores clubbed together and all those needs identified for them to make decisions on. So few guiding principles of machine learning. If the data is not plugged with the data refinery, there will be garbage in, and the learning will be flawed. So primarily, one of the core learnings that we have learned during the passage of this time, that any data that we ingest from customers has to go through a data refinery, and there is a functional expertise built on top of it so that they understand the customer business, they understand what are the nuances of that industry, understand what are the seasonality patterns of that industry, and then based on that, maybe guide the system in a way that they adopt that data for future. So the more history, the better. We normally take into account 5 years worth of data, but again, building on it, we are encouraging people to develop their data policies. For example, if a customer is not acquiring certain data, अगर वो अपने let's say point of sale के ऊपर customer data acquire नहीं करे, so we actually coach them to start to acquire that customer data as well for future use. And we try and encourage these a lot of leaders from retail industry to select use cases or help them select those use cases which are very relevant. For example, I talked to a CEO where I'm actually encouraging him to select a use case of customer segmentation and how do we increase customer return rate. So, he will not be interested in understanding how customer segmentation is important for our company. He's more interested in how we can increase the customer return rate to his stores using customer segmentation. So that understanding and explanation that use case into the system and having that ecosystem within your company enabling, ताकि किसी CEO के साथ अगर जाके बात करनी है तो there's a functional resource going towards that CEO and explaining in his language कि उसको किस तरीके से हमने enable करना है. So, I'm a big fan of mind maps. कि machine learning से हम लोग achieve क्या कर रहे हैं in retail में, और retail पाकिस्तान की कैसे use कर सकती है and global कैसे use करती है machine learning को enable करने के अंदर. So if you look at these two outcomes here, if I left to right अगर मैं इसको पढ़ना शुरू करूं, but these two are the outcomes जो कि primarily फोकस कर रहे हैं पाकिस्तान की रिटेल के अंदर कंट्रीब्यूट कर रहे हैं सबसे ज्यादा मशीन लर्निंग के एनवायरनमेंट में. Some of them are optimizations. जिस तरह हमने क्लस्टरिंग की बात की या सेगमेंटेशन की बात कर रहे हैं. But there's a lot that is driven through prediction as well, जहाँ पे हम supervised learning के through regression और classification use करते हुए prediction capabilities, high fidelity, high accuracy forecast provide कर रहे होते हैं. And we call के अभी जिस environment के अंदर हम पाकिस्तान में भी operate कर रहे हैं, the forecast has to be machine generated and human curated, because otherwise it's impossible for people to use that forecast and be able to use it in a way where they are able to make sense out of it. Quickly summarizing this, I think we are on time as well. We have talked about these, few of them I've talked about already. मगर रिटेल के जो 4 या 8 कोर यूज केसेस हैं जो कि पाकिस्तान में हम लोग इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं, which are the top one is store clustering. We are using a lot of regression in terms of understanding the promo lift of sensitivity. Whenever there is a brand that goes on 70% sales or 30% sales, there is a science behind it, and that is multivariate regression, price elasticity, log linear regression, customer segmentation, again a use case of regression. We identify a lot of outlier identification. Why do we do it? A lot of retailers are interested in understanding lost sales. What is the opportunity cost? So unless we identify the outliers, unless we identify the anomalies, we are unable to build a better simulator for loss sales simulation. We also do a lot of store assortment, selection, neural network use case, life cycle seasonality patterns for fashion industry, especially with the likes of Cross Stitch, Sapphire. These kind of companies are using all that. So a quick snapshot into हमारी इंडस्ट्री आज पाकिस्तान में खड़ी कहाँ हुई है. If you look at it, this is where we are. We are more at a reactive and speculative stage where there is limited data, there are reactive workflows, a lot of manual data compilation is there, and we are trying to eventually graduate this state to this proactive state. जहाँ पे we are helping people understand the value of integration of data. We are helping people. Enabling people with instant insights and actionable processes that we are providing with them. A lot of what-if simulation and lifelike simulations are placed with the customers. So aista crawl, walk, run की approach के ऊपर, we are graduating the industry from this state to proactive state. And the core areas in retail that we impact are primarily demand planning, inventory planning, allocation, and merchandising. So primarily, अगर मैं बात करूँ, so it's a complete supply chain, end to end, from transportation use cases to retail store fulfillment. All of that comes under machine learning and AI embed universe. So I think that's all from my side. Any questions? I'm happy to take any question. Okay, thank you very much. Go on, please. Quick, मैंने जो पीछे slide दिखाई थी, if I can go back there, I think there are about 50 clients that we have in Pakistan, and half of my workforce is based in Pakistan. So a lot of retailers, especially, are more proactive in terms of adopting to this. So हमने बड़ी जब identify करना शुरू किया, तो we have identified कौन सा vertical है which is more savvy towards all this. So we came across retail, and retail is very proactive in understanding all that, and there are a lot of high ROI use cases that we have tapped. So जितने भी top retail brands हैं, which they have quite complicated operations. अगर आप बात करते हैं बाटा या सर्विस वगैरह की, so they are in excess of 4,000 plus point of sales across Pakistan, multi-billion public limited company, and we all understand how big they are, but multi-billion operations. So in order to deal with complexity, they are using all these systems. अब वो उनकी state क्या है, कुछ infancy की state के ऊपर पड़े हुए हैं, कुछ लोग उनको proof of concept कर चुके हैं, कुछ pilot phase में हैं, कुछ engage कर चुके हैं. But a lot of inventory balancing and allocation that goes in the industry, because it's there are a lot of complexity, high SKUs हैं. Algo के system के अंदर we deal with about 1 billion SKU location combinations every day. So again, a big data player in Pakistan, I think is right up there. And the effort that we have done during this period primarily was around कि हमने functional लोगों को add करके उस layer के अंदर started communicated with the leadership. So we are a member of Chain Store Association of Pakistan. We are a member of Retail Store Association of Pakistan. And during वो जो आप बात कर रहे थे कि round tables होनी चाहिए, उन conversations के अंदर we try to convince them कि इन use cases से कैसे benefit कर सकते हैं. So yes, there's a lot going on in Pakistan, and I'm glad कि industry side के ऊपर move कर रही है. Any other question?
Yeah. Question was always the same. मैं ये पूछा था because पाकिस्तान के अंदर machine learning और बहुत सारी चीजें जो आप बता रहे हैं, business, it's very hard to explain businesses that how can you get value out of it, and so it is very hard to go through. So how do you actually convince people that this is possible, this is valuable for you, because they don't, in my experience, it's very hard for them to understand the value out of these things.
You're very right. It's really important so that they understand. So जो मैंने भी methodology explain की पहले, मैं उससे build करता हूँ आपके question के लिए. We have discussed के when we were making a strategy for our company के पाकिस्तान में penetrate कैसे करना है. So we wanted to have a product or a tool जो कि low to no integration के साथ pilot करने की capability रखता हो. So we have a capability where within 8 weeks we walk into somebody's office, explain the use case to them, take a lot of flat files in our system, and then from there we actually show them the ROI of the overall equation. So जो proof of concept करने की capability है, pilot करने की capability है, वो seeing is believing वाली बात की थी आपने अभी थोड़ी देर पहले, वो बहुत important है इस सारे scenario में. So pick a high ROI use case, deliver on it, show them कि इससे X multiple निकल सकता है, and then people are able to invest in that. So we are in process of working with a lot of shoe retailers right now. For example, Stylo, a very proactive technology brand, ECS, a very proactive technology brand, service वगैरह भी काफी सारा काम कर रहे हैं इसके ऊपर Endure. So we are working with them in understanding use cases. और उसके ऊपर, for example, अगर आज उनके पास 50 replenishers की team है, and then we are saying कि इन लोगों से data entry के अलावा कोई productive काम करवा लें, ये machine learning कर देगी, and being able to convince them, I think that wins it for us.
So another thing is data security. Because I think you're working, आपने नाम लिया Sapphire का भी और Fardy का भी, these kind of companies. So nobody wants to give data. So जो भी companies का होता है. So are they reluctant to give data? And when they give data, is the data secure with you, or it stays with that? It's
very valid call out. I think whenever I go to these companies, I said घबराना नहीं है, and it's very intimidating for people when you go as an outsider and ask for their secure information. There was a time when Young's, Shan, and National Foods were my client. So even we had access to their bill of materials and recipes. So the way we have organized our business is in a way that we understand data securities. We work with all the big box retailers of the world. So there are significant layers. The people who are deployed on one customer do not have access to the data of other customers. Plus everything is in cloud. So they understand the cloud securities. We are ISO 27001 classified. But again, that convincing comes into play where we have to go and convince them that even on a shorter use case, we are secure and we want to, your data is secure, and we will deploy, make sure the NDAs are in place, legally enforceable NDAs are in place. So all that will help. Thank you, Ji. Thank you everyone for listening to me.
Thank you.
Susman, we have another question. We have another question.
Sorry.
So some people are joining us remotely, and they want to ask how they can join your company.
We participate in a lot of, this is the first time I'm here at UMT. We participate in a lot of career fairs. Yesterday we were at LSE. Today I think my team is at LUMS, and we will try and collaborate with the UMT as well on career fairs. There's a lot of hiring that we are doing. I can reveal at this point in time. We are a team of 100 people in Pakistan. We are hiring 150 more this year. Okay. So get in touch, careers@algo.com, and of course we'll try and have you on board.